that has had some pretty decent competitive success in the past couple of weeks. They got up to second in Pick Your Poison last week, have played well in a handful of other weeklies, but now, and I think at this point, they're probably contenders to make the North American Strikers League, but now they're going up against some of the best players that North American competitive Omega Strikers has to offer.
Yeah, there's not really a truer test to see if you're fit for the NASA Leagues, and going up against Demons RAAAAHHH here, obviously, an incredibly strong team. I think placing third overall in NASA, so really strong showing from them so far, as both teams do start off on this ad lab, by the way. We do have a few interesting picks coming on here. The Kainoob Octavia showing its face in this game as well, as we have a Rapid Fire Demolitionist Awakening start. Interesting choice. I'm curious to see how well it's going to be executed.
Sloth. So, welcome to Demons RAAAAHHH, who like making picks just when they're allowed to limit test. They have a best of 3 here where they can, you know, have some fun with at least one game. No, I mean, not that Kainoob is going to be any slouch right on this Octavia. It might be a little questionable here, I guess, unless you're real worried about something getting out of hand with the Kai speed on the other side. Actually, I guess it was first picked in Striker Select here for Demons RAAAAHHH after the Atlas and Mako bans. So, I don't know, Kainoob must be feeling pretty confident on this Striker today, although it is going to be Dragonslayers that get the first goal here. Now, here's the other thing, too, that I will say. Dragonslayers have made it to this point by beating both Bun Bun Bonanza and the Bozo Bunch in best of ones yesterday. That's the reason why they are here in this bracket. So they're certainly a team that's got something to prove here this weekend. And again, they're going to do it by getting the first goal on the game. See whether or not that momentum can continue here.
It's going to be difficult to continue the momentum, though, as the KO is being found by Snake, and they're just looking to get a second one on Twisty here as well, as she's getting incredibly low and taken out by Snake. 3v1 advantage play for the side of Demons RAAAAHH now. They do not actually find the barrier, though. Matter of fact, they're going to drop one of their own there. So, very, very strong defense from the side of Dragon Quest there.
You've got to be kidding me, man. Gooby's like, oh, I saw that angle. I can hit that angle right back, and then hits it right into the barrier. Oh, Demons RAAAAHHH, you just never fail to disappoint. Absolute cinema here today in the first couple of points of their winners semifinal match. Kind of going to hit it backwards with a beat drop. Snake trying here. Is going to be able to get it through the Tofu Fortress. Kainoob back into the Gravity Well, and there is Striker Kai getting comboed off of the pitch. Twisty, good top spin. Trying to keep possession of the core here. Snake over to Kainoob. Can't quite find a way to get it done. Back and forth between these two. Kainoob doesn't find that energy burst. Core goes to the other side of the map. Twisty's there to strike it in, and it's 2-0 up here now for the Demonslayers.
Yeah, and it's interesting for me to see because Luke is very proficient at some of the eject goalie picks as well. Obviously not something that he can pick up for this tournament specifically, but it looks like the Stu boost hits him pretty well as well. He's holding off this barrier as almost perfectly, as Demons RAAAAHH can't really find that barrier just yet in any of these points. And because of Gumi's playstyle being a bit more aggressive at times, the moment that a clear does come out, the barriers are immediately under attack, right? And Striker Kai and Twisty doing a really good job taking advantage of that, finding these gaps, and also this is kind of the reason why we are currently in a 2-0 lead in favor of Dragonslayers 2, as the core continues to be fought around in the midfield for, but no lethal attack being set up from either team so far.
Looking to try put this one through. Twisty, though, taken away. Snake going to do some Tokyo drifting into that barrier. Now the flow states up here for Kainoob. Striker Kai will collect. There is the Tofu Fortress out. Is going to knock the core away for a moment, and the power play will dissipate, though Snake now has possession even just for a moment. The summer assault came in, though, from Luke. To send it back. Striker Kai finds the barrier. Now Twisty looks for the pop-up in the corner. Is going to be able to find the strike past Gumi. It's a 3-0 here set early for Dragonslayers 2. Look at their pick of the litter here. Luke, actually, first pick in this draft in the goalie box from this dude.
Looking at this draft, I do wonder if Luke's going to opt to just straight away take away the fight or flight so Octavia doesn't get it, or if we're going to opt for a more defensive awakening. No, fight or flight has to go, cannot be given to Kainoob here, as size goes in the way of Snake. Double size awakening on this Juliet now. But Rapid Fire Prime Time going to enable Kainoob to keep up this flow state much longer as well. Hotshot finding its way down to Gumi here as well. Going to be a massive pickup for him, actually, as that core speed is going to help so much more at keeping this core on the side of Dragonslayers.
2 Sparks opted in here, meanwhile, for Dragonslayers, with a set to work with. Maybe that is a wise choice. You'll see potentially more drafts where you can pick up your second, unless, of course, they both show up in the next one. And it might not work out quite that well. Twisty, you're going to be able to find another barrier. Overall, the execution for Dragonslayers here has been quite on point so far, as they look to take just a couple barriers. Quick little passing play. Twisty has enough cooldowns with this Kazan. Not going to be able to find that barrier that time, though, as Kainoob is back. Now in the flow state, has the energy burst. Snake going to find one barrier. Fiery Flurry. Energy burst also going to come out of Snake. Kainoob's flow state going to dissipate, and Snake just can't come up in time, but Gumi finds the KO with a piercing shot. The power play here now for Demons RAAAAHHH. Twisty, though, takes Snake off of the pitch. Kainoob, energy burst here. Top corner, finds it. Luke is stuck in the Summer Assault animation. That'll be the first goal on the board here now for Demons RAAAAHHH.
I do want to point out, though, how well Twisty is actually currently piloting this Kazan. She's playing so well with these bigger strike ranges, being a damage menace as well to some degree, just making the most of the character, and especially in a matchup of Kazan versus the Estelle. Estelle's not going to have an easy time defending against a character with as many mix-ups as the Kazan. So really well executed from Twisty, but also a beautiful defensive roll from Luke there to send the core behind the barrier. But Snake does find a KO. Demons RAAAAHHH now in a power play and looking to make it 2 KOs as Twisty is getting low as well.
Luke does what Gumi can't there. Flashes the Sad Boys emote immediately afterwards. Does have an energy burst here online as well. Meanwhile, the power play is going to dissipate. Rollout log is going to get stopped. Going to stop the momentum here from Snake. Now the Juliet is looking rather low. Maddening Descent is not going to connect. It's going to allow Twisty to step back and pick up the orb. Gumi playing very far forward right now as this is Estelle, trying to get involved as much as he can, even without the eject button per the name of the tournament. Energy burst is out. Goes into the gravity well. Kainoob now burns the beat drop. Doesn't find Twisty. But this Kazan is now looking rather low. Snake perhaps looking to drop back. Could be threatening a KO versus the opposing brawler. There is the top spin trying to do just that. Snake also has an energy burst here. Twisty will fall back, though. Will be able to pick up the orb. Meanwhile, though, Snake picks up the barrier. Double energy burst online here. Luke barely finds the save. Scrapes it off the goal line to send it back away. Snake still has his own energy burst as well. Some low Sagger bars now for the brawlers on both sides, as Kainoob will build up the flow state here at the midfield line. Luke's going to get challenged once. There's the strike. Kainoob now will lose the flow state, as Snake looks potentially for a pass up to the midfielder. No, that one's died. There's crooked leverage in from Twisty. Topspin doesn't collect the core the second time around, but Gumi's burned the crystallized thorns. Of course, that cooldown will come online sooner rather than later. And here comes Kainoob again on the midfield line, patrolling as if it's his job. Now going to lose that flow state yet again. Twisty in position, and the second that that core goes up there is ready to strike it to the top corner. Very quick in overtime there as the points drone on.
A beautiful Giga Blast though from Kai is able to deliver that core up to Twisty. A nice angle to be found. And I do feel like if we are starting to hit into that overtime, the side of Dragonslayers have a much more lethal attack, because even with just that spark of strength, Twisty has a red core strike in that closed form, which is going to accelerate the gameplay so much more. which means the side of Demons RAAAHH will try to get these goals early in the set, not want to give that Kazan that extra power to be dealing with. And you can see that just here, even though Luke and Twisty doing a wonderful job holding on to the point, in the end Demons RAAAHH will find the way to force it through that defense.
Good collapse on the goal, as is usually the case, of course, with these melee goalies. They'll lose their cooldowns eventually, meaning that anyone can come up and finally find the way to strike it through, even when your brawler is sitting there with you. Twisty now taken rather low once more. We'll have to be careful here in a moment. Tofu Fortress does come out. Luke doesn't quite have the speed to continue following it up here, but Striker Kai now gets into position. Giga Blast is out. Can't find the goal barrier there as it'll go up to the top side. Kai Noob's flow state will once again run out. And Demons RAAAHH won't have that extra resource here. Primary, though, is going to find the barrier. Kai Noob once again back in the midfield line with the core up and down. Striker Kai will find the Strike War victory, and now the Giga Blast comes out to send Snake packing. Rolled out long is there, and not a lot of momentum here, although Twisty tries to change that. Crooked Leverage pulls it back, but is stunned by the time that she tries to strike it. Overtime now once more, and here's that part that you just mentioned, Sloth. Crooked Leverage is already used. Twisty doesn't have that. Can't get as creative, maybe, as she'd like. Noob now in position, looks for the primary, but can't take it himself. Luke is there, continues just to keep striking this core. Excellent control. There's that Crooked Leverage. Twisty finds the barrier. Snake looks for a KO against Striker Kai, but can't find it. Low speed now for Twisty. Doesn't have the range of this energy burst to get the job done. There's the Giga Blast as Twisty comes diving in, and now we'll use that energy burst to send it through. Set point for both teams here.
Twisty's just so clinical, I feel like, in the way that she's executing these goals, just taking advantage of Gumi's cooldowns, of his positioning, just making it so difficult to properly be dealing with. But overall, I feel like it is still kind of in Demons RAAAHH's hands to lose these sets, because they seem to be in control of the core most of the time. They just kind of can't get an attack going that really translates into a goal. So the few cores that the side of Dragonslayers is able to get and set themselves up with are enough for them to actually find the barriers and find the goals, as you can again see us being in a pretty even game state here, with both teams with only one barrier left. HP bar's going low on Kai Noob as he has to run back to get the orb. Striker Kai also has a flip, tries to use it, but gets answered by Gumi. Twisty with a lovely Crooked Leverage, though, shutting down that flip, as now HP bars are gonna go low. And the side of Dragonslayers needs to hold on to dear life.
You know, we didn't mention it early enough, but as the set continues to progress, Demolitionist stacks are going to continue stacking up, particularly for Twisty on this Kazan. It's going to be helpful for Snake too, of course, but even still on this Kazan, that extra extended range of the Crooked Leverage, push the point and such. See where this continues as Twisty once again, Crooked Leverage, pushes it through. And that is another set here for the Dragonslayers. They're up 2 sets to 0. And now it's Twisty here, pick of the litter in the draft. Big Fish, Adrenaline Rush, both online here. Also the Spark of Agility is a possible option, but yeah, we'll just opt for the size.
Yeah, the size is just going to help so much more with the win of these strike wars, with that pressure being built. Stacks on stacks, finding its way into Kai Noob could be a bit scary, but as it stands right now, Dragonslayers have been dealing pretty well with the play from the side of Demons RAAAHH, and with that movement speed of Octavia as well. So they're kind of calling the bluff there to some degree, saying, hey, you can have the speed, because us getting an even bigger strike war advantage on Twisty is going to be enough to deal with your attacks, to deal with your defense as well. As again, the point goes, and a beautiful Giga Blast from Striker Kai will actually find the first barrier there, almost a second, as Gumi is forced to hold on to that barrier with some clean strikes. But overall as well, I do want to mention that's a second spark on Striker Kai. So even if Demons RAAAHH finds this set win, we're looking at a potential another spark for the side of Striker Kai that's just going to continue to snowball this game a little bit in their favor. I still feel like Dragonslayers, I almost said Demonslayers, well, I think I might have done before, still have a difficult set to win here, but you can see they're doing just fine, with Twisty almost getting another goal.
Gooby with a last-second Rose Warp to get back in time. Keeping that one away. Now Kainoob taken off the pitch. Striker Kai, possession of the core. Twisty dives in and has the crooked leverage to pull it through. Will be able to get the job done there. And now, 2 goals away here are the Dragonslayers. Potential 3-0 versus Demons RAAAAHH and winners semifinal slot. I mean, seriously for this team?
It would be insane if they do find it, and they're playing well, right? It's definitely deserving at this point with looking at how they have been playing and looking at yesterday, right? With the series wins that they did get already against other national teams, right? It is just an incredibly strong showing for them, and they're just continuing to pile on to that showing here. As again, Twisty with that extra size, just so difficult for Gumi to deal with. As one barrier drops, a clean pass to Striker Kai almost sets him up to take the second one as well, but it wasn't quite enough. As now Demons RAAAAHH are going to go back on the offense. Kainoob has a flip. If he does need to use it, has to use it defensively here. Kazan just with all of this outplay potential. Octavia Ultimate actually taking their own barrier there, but it's a power play in favor of Demons RAAAAHH as they're almost making it a 1v3.
Tofu Fortress is out here. Striker Kai interrupts the pass now with Giga Blast. Gumi has to Rose Warp backwards, and Twisty is back online. Striker Kai, though, low on stagger, and now is going to get KO'd thanks to the dash punch from Snake. The power play continues for Demons RAAAAHH. Luke will use the energy burst. Gumi's going to be able to scoop it away, and the core will go around the world. Snake in pursuit sends it down to Kainoob, who will punish with the goal.
The punish did come through, but Demons RAAAAHH really only evening up the set so far. So still 2 more goals to be found, as they do need to get past the defensive wall of Luke as well. The strike actually playing with a black hole there, getting the first barrier, but as we all know, on a 2-barrier map, the first barrier doesn't mean that much. The second one still has to be found. That's usually the more difficult part, as the Dragonslayers are now walking up. The Twisty does get taken off the map, but Striker Kai secures the barrier. Flip has to come out from Kainoob here to hold on to this point as the power play continues to be played out from the side of Demons RAAAAHH.
Another piercing shot will keep possession for Demons RAAAAHH. Crystallized Thorns burn out of Gumi, but Twisty is in position, already has used that crooked leverage, and the pass from Striker Kai is just not fast enough to cut through the 2 forwards of Demons RAAAAHH. Strike shots traded from both goalies. Snake attempts to rack up that extra stagger. It has been done before on Striker Kai, but now is going to get punished for it. Snake taken off the pitch. Rose Warp from Gumi back first. The Tofu Fortress leaves an opening for Gumi to send it through, and the goal doesn't happen this time around. Kainoob will strike down to the bottom corner to buy the time, and the penalty has been killed. Striker Kai, there's the Giga Blast. Twisty just a little bit shy on the top spin. The Raj is going to keep the play alive. Luke with an opportunity, but actually will just opt to keep possession here now for the Dragonslayers. Gumi finds an energy burst, sends it away. There's a good summer assault from Luke, keeping this barrier alive. Giga Blast sends it right back up to Striker Kai. Twisty might have been open there, but the pass couldn't come through. Now the top spin's there. Crooked leverage as Twisty will win the strike war. And it is game point now for Dragonslayers 2.
I feel like Dragonslayers 2 just has everything that they kind of need now, looking at the matchups, right? Because the Juliet is going to have a tough time dealing with the Dubu, Tofu wall, or the rolls as well. Difficult to force through. On the other hand, Twisty with the Kazan has a favorable matchup against Gumi, which we've been able to see so many times already with that crooked leverage, with these plays. And on top of that, Demons RAAAAHH, I feel like also finding some misstrikes consistently. Barrier dropping now again, as Dragonslayers are going to try to close off the set in a 3-0 manner.
Looking for it again with the goal barriers open. Snake, though, in pursuit on the other side with the fiery flurry. Kainoob now in the flow state, but it's going to be Twisty taking Snake off of the pitch. Kainoob just has to play damage control here at the midfield line. There's the energy burst. Will find the barrier as Luke can't find the strike, and will send it down. Now it orbits the gravity well. Kainoob back in possession, still in the flow state here. As Snake actually will now collect the core. Flow state will dissipate. And now Demons RAAAAHH doesn't have an opportunity. All 3 members, though, of Dragonslayers 2 in pursuit. Gumi tries to be patient, and enough strikes from Demons RAAAAHH send it away from Twisty. We're in overtime now. A maddening descent comes through. Can't find the core. Striker Kai does have another Giga Blast. Doesn't find much of anything there, though. And now Luke will just play it patient for a split second. Take a little bit of a breather, as is needed on occasion. Snake will keep it in this corner. Rollout log gives an opportunity for Twisty. Almost breakaway goal, but Gooby's there in time. There's the energy burst to send it away as well. Game point, again, for Dragonslayers 2. They'll want this game now before things start getting out of hand. Tofu Fortress is online. Twisty doesn't have the crooked leverage this time around, though. There it is, just a little bit shy of the core. Kainoob has the energy burst. Snake does as well. Burns it, looking for the KO versus Striker Kai, but the midfielder won't go down that easily. Energy burst again for Kainoob. And Luke, for that matter. Beat drop is out. Striker Kai in possession on the backside. Gooby with a Rose Warp. That cooldown's been burned. But the core is going to get away. Twisty can't capitalize on it. Just doesn't quite have the speed to catch up to the core as it continues to move so quick. There's the top spin. It doesn't find the core that time either. Luke tries to play it patient here. Here's the energy burst. Maybe looking again. Tofu Fortress is out, continuing just to try to play it patiently. And Dragonslayers have held the core for so long. Here it is. Finally, Twisty will find the play with the crooked leverage. And that's all she wrote for Game 1. Dragonslayers win Game 1 over Demons RAAAAHH. We'll see what adjustments Demons will make in the next draft slot, because I don't think they're going to play nice in the next one.
Yeah, they definitely won't be. I feel like the side of Dragonslayers just had such a strong game plan, and they just executed it so well as well, right? The mismatching characters of Gumi and Twisty, in the end, they just took advantage of that so well, because Luke and Striker Kai just continuously held the back line. They just didn't give any barriers or any goals for free, and then just sent the core forward with the one nice flip or with a nice red core to just create that 1v1 situation for Twisty and Gumi. And Twisty, obviously, on the Kazan, she's so proficient, just able to bring out the most of that character with the crooked leverages, with those kind of fake out plays as well. And it's just so difficult for Gumi to defend. And I'll be honest, before this game, if you were to tell me this is going to be a 3-0, I would have said, sure, yeah, I agree with it. If you were to tell me it's a 3-0 in favor of Dragonslayers, I don't think I would have believed you.
Yeah, hats off to them for that showing. Demons RAAAAHH just couldn't pull it together for an entire set at all. And I think some part of that, right, has to be a first pick blinded Octavia on a start that doesn't have an incredibly strong awakening for her, right? But even still, right, all of that aside, and Gumi Estelle and what have you, Dragonslayers are executing, and that's the reason why you can't just take this team for granted, and the reason why they've made it to this point, right, is teams are kind of just being like, all right, come on, I've never heard of these folks. They can't be that good, right? And then they get the job done, and you go, wait a second. Here's the problem. Now, of course, is where the real thing happens, because they're going to the Demons RAAAAHH map pick of Inky's Splash Zone, and they've won. Dragonslayers have won best of ones versus Nassau teams so far. Now they have to put two games together to win a best of 3. We'll see whether or not they can get it done here. The start is prime time perfect form for this map.
A lot of picks that can be played here. I do wonder what the priority pick will be here for the side of Dragonslayers, and what the bans are going to be as well. Perfect form, just giving cooldown so efficiently, right? Just enabling a lot of picks, like a Zentaro, like an Asher, like a Mako, like an Atlas. It's just many more as well, going to be difficult to deal with, and the prime time as well, giving even more cooldown. So this is going to be a fast-paced game for certain, simply just because everyone's going to be low on cooldowns. And they do seem to realize that themselves as well, as they take out 2 speed characters almost immediately. Mako and Octavia gone at the Atlas first pick. Definitely a reasonable pick on that perfect form start.
However, it's 2 classic characters in response. Snake's Zentaro was really what he was known for first, and we've seen it with some level of success in the current meta. We just saw it with Joker, of course, in the last series. Kainoob on the now is exactly what makes this guy the perennial MVP in the North American Strikers League, but The quintessential forward pickup is met for Dragonslayers 2. All a matter now of what Goomy decides to lock in, and it is the Asher here. The only thing that might happen weirdly here, Sloth, is for them to switch Zentaro and Asher. But of course, it's not an eject button Zentaro because they can't do that. So I'm a little less worried here about this comp from Demons RAAAH.
Hey, you never know, but I wouldn't be expecting it either. I wouldn't be expecting it either, especially because that Kazan character is so difficult to deal with as a goalie, right? And Twisty has shown a lot of proficiency on it. So opting for an Asher pick and goal here is definitely going to make it a lot easier for the side of Demons RAAAH, because unlike Estelle, she can just completely shut down the attack by using a singular ability. She doesn't really care for a lot of fancy play around because she's just going to go into you, press a primary, and the core's going to be stuck. So it's definitely a more easier matchup for the side of Demons RAAAH to be executing here in that goalie to forward comparison. But it's not going to be enough to win you the game as is, because you got to keep in mind as well, Striker Kai is called Striker Kai for a reason. He is quite experienced on that pick, and just giving him that as well might be enough for the side of Dragonslayers to maybe try to find a 2-0 here.
We'll see, of course. They have their work cut out for them here on Demons Splash Zone, as it was once called. I have seen this one plenty of times before. The unfortunate truth for Demons RAAAH is they can't randomly roll into Inky's Splash Zone twice in a row. Prime time here, obviously for the Kazan and the Kai, both going to be huge boosts in their overall effectiveness. And I mentioned the perfect form on the Atlas earlier here as well. So this also seems like a great start for Dragonslayers.
Yeah, most definitely. But you are on Inky, and on Inky, as we've seen it in an earlier series today as well, it's all about that snowball effect, getting that water beam and playing for it. So it's going to come down to Snake Hainu versus Striker Kai Twisty. Who of them is going to win that midfield control, set themselves up for a barrier take first, and then start playing off of these advantages? As they're going pretty head-to-head as of right now, no one really getting a significant advantage to a point where really an attack has to be thrown. Luke does have to defend a little bit already, as opposed to Goomy, who's just having a good time in front of the barrier.
Goomy's bored already. Without eject button, without an eject button goalie, Goomy is just bored, sitting there in the box on the other side of the pitch, waiting for the core to come to him, because he knows that his forwards are just going to continue controlling the core. Now finally has to do some work here as Striker Kai is in pursuit, is able to send the core away, and the water cannon's out. Luke on the wrong side of the goal, and that's of the cannon, and that's going to be an easy punish for Snake, getting the first goal on the board here for Demons.
Yeah, cleanly executed there. Luke being a little bit overzealous, not using that flip in the middle of the water cannon either to shut that down, as Demons RAAAH will find the first goal of the set. And find another barrier as well. Demons RAAAH now not playing around, just taking these barriers, taking these advantages, and finding a KO as well, as I believe that was Goomy's old path splitter on the Asher, taking that KO on Striker Kai.
Now the core goes back to the other side of the pitch. Water cannon used as the penalty KO, and oh no, the core just flies past Luke. Very slow here within the first 20 seconds of the point. Welcome to Inky Splash Zone, and Demons RAAAH now are up 2-0.
Up 2-0. Still need to find a third though. But they're doing a lot of damage already. Striker Kai, again, needing that Atlas ultimate to stay alive. That's Zentaro perfect for him. We've seen it earlier today, how much it can do. And Snake definitely going to be someone that can pilot that excellently as well. As Dragonslayers will take, never mind. Barrier is being held onto by Goomy there. Flip has to come out from Luke as well to keep this point alive.
Asher is so weak as a goalie character here, as Goomy is clearly demonstrating. Continues to just send the core away, has enough hitboxes thrown around to hold this one down, especially given picking up the prime time here for double the primaries, because why not, especially as the goalie player. Crooked Leverage comes back out from Twisty. Goomy's ready for the strike war this time, and also does have the energy burst to his name. Now on the other side of the pitch, maybe we'll see something going, but Speed is just not there for anyone right now. Twisty going to pull it back with a quick leverage. Striker Kai, potential opportunity here, but the path splitter comes out. Here's the water cannon. Striker Kai does have the energy burst. Top spin out. Gumi has the energy burst to send it away as well. And so that play will come up just shy. Twisty in the slip almost finds it. And now Kainu finds it with the primary of now. Beautiful clear from Luke, just to the corner. Impossible nearly to predict. And now here's the energy burst, baits out the expanse. Luke's got his own, and now another strange clear from Luke is going to find Twisty. Almost tries to get this one out of here, but Snake is back in position, looking to get the job done. Twisty comes up just shy on the slip in the crooked leverage. Here's the top spin, but Kainu's got his own energy burst. Now the Oni's blade is out and try to collapse the goal from the corner. Can't find it just yet. Path splitter out. Twisty there trying to KO Snake. Can't find the goal just yet, though. Finally, we'll see the energy burst used from Kainu. Expanse burned early here from Luke. And a beautiful mine from Kainu keeps this in position. Snake throws himself forward and will find the goal. It's a 3-0 set for Demons RAAAAHH.
And the first pick for Kainu as well, now being so scary with a perfect form. And now likely going to pick up a Speed Awakening to enable her even more. I do wonder if it's going to be the Fight or Flight or the Stagger Swagger. Stagger Swagger holds some value in denying that the enemy side is not going to be able to get it. Does not opt for it himself as it's being picked up by Striker Kai. But yeah, Fight or Flight finding its way onto Kainub. And more importantly, another Catalyst and perfect form combination on Snake. I'm getting a sense of deja vu here.
Well, we'll see as this continues to happen. Yeah, some excellent Awakening pickups here for this Demons RAAAAHH team. Twisty will be forced to settle with these stacks in that last draft. Probably would have preferred the size, but speed, of course, will continue to be king. And the Twin Drive, of course, from Luke will help out quite significantly. We talked a lot about punishing this Atlas when it doesn't have that expanse online. Now, of course, has two. Can't save you there, though, from the energy burst play, as gets burned a little bit too early. Snake's able to punish, find the barrier, and now Demons RAAAAHH in pursuit to the goal. Water Cannon is out here. Kainu looks to try to sneak it through, but it's actually Snake is the one that gets KO'd on the backside of the expanse. Power play opportunity here. Striker Kai and Twisty are going to pass it back and forth. Now looking for just some kind of play in the corner, trying to dribble it around, but Kainu's going to intercept the play altogether. Twisty does have the crooked leverage, burned the strike a little bit early, and Demons RAAAAHH will win back possession of the core. Top spin is out. There's another expanse used from Luke. There's the second charge. And now an opportunity here as Kainu starts to come forward. Snake almost in position. Couldn't find it there. Energy burst here from Twisty, but Gumi's got a primary for that. Barrage, though, comes out to Striker Kai. Almost finds the pass. Not able to there. Barely saves it as Luke reacts in time with the energy burst, and it catches the core. Keeps the points alive here for both teams. Giga Blast up to the top corner. Striker Kai now once again looking for Twisty, but they can't keep momentum rolling. Water Cannon back the other way, and Snake is there on the eye rush to get it done.
Really well executed from Demons RAAAAHH, even though the attacks were consistently coming through from the side. Dragonslayers, they were keeping control of the core and getting these attacks through. And you can really kind of feel that difference in that Kazan this game, because you don't have any extra strength to send the core flying like you did last time around. You also have a much more difficult matchup because you can see Striker Kai and Twisty, they're consistently trying to play around Gumi. They don't really have a way to go through him like they did last game, and that just makes it so much more difficult, especially against a team like Demons RAAAAHH that is so proficient at defending and also so proficient at attacking, as Gumi, almost a forward here, sets up with Snake, flips coming out, and a 2-0 lead for Demons RAAAAHH in the second set.
This Gumi guy does not need eject button to find himself in the opponent's goal box, all right? Let's just make that abundantly clear. You will almost never need it and will always walk up or do the offensive play in order to assist the teammates. Now, there is then another strike shot. Path splitter launched forward. Keeps the pressure up here for Demons RAAAAHH. There's another water cannon. Strike back on from Kainub over to Snake. Doesn't even need the energy burst to get the job done. 6-0 here, Sloth, in game 2.
Demons RAAAAHH showing us why it's their map pick. They're just playing it so well. They're just so efficient with it. And they're keeping core on the side of Dragonslayers so consistently. It's just so difficult for them to really play it out properly as we're now going into this draft. Zentaro not picking up anything yet, as the Monumentalist goes the way of Luke, together with that Twin Drive, gonna make those expanses so much more difficult to be going through here, as the size gets denied off of Twisty, just really making sure this Kazan doesn't get anything more than he needs to. But still pretty happy to pick up the Rapid Fire Primetime for the Kazan. Hotshot going down to last pick surprises me a bit, but considering all of the picks that have gone through, it does make sense.
1-2 punch actually not picked up in the last draft. Evidently, damage not a priority from either of these teams. Wacky expanse there from Luke, actually. He is going to be able to get the job done there, and we'll see where the rest of this one goes. Also, of course, Kainuke more speed. Some might call it Kainuke's clock. Others will just call it Stagger Swagger. It's a very good awakening in general. And Kainuke is no stranger to playing a speed character in the midfield slot. Striker Kai just going to be able to hit the corner of that barrier. Now, where's the momentum here for this Dragonslayers team? They can't find it yet, and Twisty is just shy again on the crooked leverage. Snake now in possession of the core, finds the goal barrier for Demons RAAAAHH. The water cannon goes back the other direction. Here's Snake again. The expanse is there. Strike shot. Kainuke keeps it in the corner. And finally, the primary comes out from Luke. Striker Kai backs away, but Snake still has possession of the core. Twisty can't pull it back, and Snake just executes so brilliantly. Continues getting the job done, and that is what this gets this guy so many S-tier titles.
Yeah, just so clinical in front of the net there, being so aware of what Luke can do to defend and just matching his own cooldowns so well into it, enabling him to get these scores in consistently against an Atlas, which is also important, especially in a map like Inky's again, right? Because that snowball effect will always come into play. Demons RAAAAHH now will try to get an attack going, though, again, as a flip comes out from Snake, doesn't find the target, but Gumi and Kainu both have a flip as well. Wouldn't be surprised if Gumi might get a little bit bored again and walks up the field to get that flip to get a barrier here.
Oh, he's thinking about it for sure, walking up to that midfield line. Probably will save it for the last point if that's possible. The eye rush here from Snake, tries to send it back through. Here's Twisty, pulls it back with the crooked leverage. Pass down to Striker Kai, keeps possession, and now the barrier will fall. Gigablast is out, but even still, there's just so much to fight through on the defensive side here with Kainuke's mines and Gumi's primaries. The Pat Splitter comes out here as well, dividing the field in two for a moment. Overtime now, as Striker Kai does have an energy burst, but hasn't been on the offensive side of the pitch in some time. Twisty pulled back with a crooked leverage, now has a second one, but can't find it there as Gumi maintains his own energy burst. Other side of the pitch, Gigablast sends it flying. Maddening Descent will find the corner. Finally, the drought is snapped here for Dragonslayers as they look to pick up some semblance of momentum or even just salvage it before we go into game 3.
Yeah, and they do have 2 flips available as well, so they can continue to extend this lead if they find themselves in the proper position. But Kainub and Gumi doing such a good job on the defensive end, as they do actually drop a barrier there. Twisty needs to be a bit careful. A lot of damage being pumped into her as the Atlas ultimate has to come out to keep her alive. Flip from Striker Kai being answered there properly, though, as Demons RAAAAHH will not give them that gold just yet. Striker Kai trying to run up using that barrage, but Asher just says no, plops down a primary. There's not much you can do about that, as again, 2 flips available for the side of Demons RAAAAHH on the offense, and even one on the defense if they need it, as flips get traded between Snake and Luke. No barrier dropping there just yet, though. Twisty trying to get the core up front, setting herself up to make use of this Kazan play. Dashes up as well, flips in front of the goal. Cooldown's coming up from Gumi, but the core not going through as it actually goes back to Luke. And it's just really, it's just a continuous fight for this core possession, and Dragonslayers just can't seem to get past Gumi.
Yeah, I almost wonder if, you know, I've noticed Striker Kai playing much more defensively on the backside, and now Kainub just walks right up and the complete opposite, the kind of vision of what a midfielder should potentially be doing here, but just feels like there's not that same level of offense. It's very much reliant on Twisty to try to come up with some kind of play out of this Kazan, and hasn't been as successful doing that this time, just given how much can go on that defensive side. Will find the barriers, corner again, as it's now game point for Demons RAAAAHH. Off the post, it's not quite in yet, as Gumi's got enough time to react with the angle that it was at. Snake has an energy burst here, going to wait out the water cannon as it was already hit. Here comes the energy burst as well. The expanse will sink around and will lock that corner play down. Now looking for another pass here. Luke up to Twisty. Potential opportunity here. Crooked leverage down to the bottom corner. Here's the top spin, looking for the dribble to herself. Can't find it just yet. Striker Kai is forward this time. Can't get the job done just yet though. Crooked leverage can't pull it back fast enough. And Twisty can't find it. Energy burst online though. Potential opportunity this time around. There it is, but Kainu was blocking it with the extra speed. Primary is up there for Gumi, as now Snake finds a response. Could be the goal to send us to a game 3, although Twisty says not yet. We'll pull it back with a crooked leverage and finds it right behind Gumi to that top corner.
Yeah, the game plan that Dragonslayers are employing is still roughly the same that they did in the Atlab game before, right? Get the core up to Twisty and let Twisty do her magic. But it's just so much more difficult when you now have Kainub on that now pick that can shut down any kind of passing play, and you have Gumi on that Asher pick to just win every single 1v1. So it's incredibly difficult for them to really execute this properly, as again, Demons RAAAAHH will find the barrier first, will use the water cannon, but doesn't get any kind of result out of it. A Snake runs up, almost secures that goal as well, but Luke will hold on to it, has a flip as well now on the defensive end if he does need to use it, and he might have to because Kainub has a flip and he's gonna try to use that to secure this set and this game.
Oh, but it doesn't find the core. It just goes slightly wide. Snake now will stop for a moment with his own energy burst, and that's 2 flips burned from Demons RAAAAHH. An opportunity presents itself here in this set, but Twisty has already burned hers as well. Luke has to try to hold this one here. There's the primary and the flip to bail it out to the top side, but Kainub now is looking to maintain possession for Demons RAAAAHH. It's going to be nearly impossible to get it through Gumi now with 2 primaries and an energy burst online. Twisty, though, finds the KO versus Kainub. That's going to be huge if they can try to capitalize on it. Beautiful expanse, shuts that play down from Snake as the core continues to fly across the pitch. Kainub will come back online in just a moment, and now the water cannon is going to send this one back the other way. Kainub in position. There's an expanse burn to prevent Snake from scoring the game-clinching goal, but he'll find an energy burst that takes down 2. Twisty is still holding for the moment, but an energy burst is there, and Demons RAAAAHH will send us to a game 3.
Twisty almost doing God's work in the end there, but in the end, the Gumi run-up was a bit too much. Demons RAAAAHH continuously putting on the pressure that game, continuously pummeling down that defense, and just not allowing any kind of strong attack being sent their way as they find this 3-0 win. So we went from 3-0 one side to 3-0 the other side. That's gonna go lead us into the deciding match here as well. But about this match, it's just really, you can just really see it, the control that Kainub had, right? 240 redirects. That is a little bit less than 50 more than Striker Kai had. Just ever present on that now pick, just being so proficient with it and just shutting down any kind of forward connection to Twisty with that now, just doing such a good job at it.
How about this too? Snake, 42,000 damage on Inky's Splash Zone with Zentaro for a game that only went to 3 sets. May I remind you? Certainly it didn't feel like it was that big of a roll, but this is what happens, Slough. I was saying Demons RAAAAHH isn't going to mess around the second time after you take the first game. That's all what today is really a test for Dragonslayers. Can they win these best of 3s versus NASA level teams? Because we know they can take games. Will they be able to take the best of 3? Of course, we've got one more map, and it's Night Market here to try to find that out.
Yeah, and going into the night market, there's gonna be some prio picks again, right? You're gonna be looking at the Nows, you're gonna be looking at the Asher. Juliet also not a bad pickup here, maybe even an X, who knows? It also, with the Awakening Star, can potentially be another Octavio. Maybe Kainub will try to run it back, but we will see. once we have the awakenings. Now, okay, but do you have any kind of rough idea what these players are going to be opting for in terms of bans here, maybe to disable a player?
In terms of bans, obviously it's going to depend on what side you are. I think if you're Dragonslayers, it feels like you almost have to ban away the now if you're not going to try to play it yourself. And in fact, they are red side here. So I feel like they almost have to ban this now. It might not sound like much of a threat now, but Kayub is just so proficient on that particular striker. It feels nearly impossible to get anything else done. The start is Ariel's Twin Drive. There are potential thoughts here of an Octavia pick. I kind of doubt it from Demons RAAAAHHH, right? I think they were limit testing in game 1. I don't know whether or not that'll be as successful this time around, but I guess we'll have to see how this one comes through. I expect to see Twisty remain on the Kazan. Now you get an Ariel's potentially here for the dash range, or you even take the Twin Drive. Actually, no, we're just going to see the Octavia get banned away here from Demons RAAAAHHH, interestingly enough.
Yeah, I mean, the Octavia does hold so much value if executed correctly. I'm not quite sure if Striker Kai has an Octavia in their back. I do think so. So they're just being a little bit precautious there, making sure that doesn't find its way onto Striker Kai's hands to take over the game completely, as Dragonslayers are opting to remove the X. So the now is still on the field with that Aerials, with that Twin Drive. Doesn't get picked up though. The Mako, another priority pick here, obviously. Really great defensively. And with that Aerials and that Twin Drive, either or, really strong awakenings to enable both of your forwards for the Mako. So no surprises there, as the Atlas Kai also get picked. Dragonslayers looking to maybe run back the same comp here as they did last game.
I mean, at the end of the day for Dragonslayers, it's comfort picks for them, right? Luke is going to be fine on any kind of a melee goalie there, right? Of course, that's probably about what he's playing, especially when A, eject button is banned, and B, you've got Striker Kai on your team. Snake's going to go back on the Zentaro. Kainu, just go ahead and lock in the now. Just go ahead and do it. That's fine. You might as well. You've got a Twin Drive here potentially too, where you could pick up double secondaries for even more strikes. There it is. And I expect to see the Kazan here again. We're just going to run it back and see what happens in game 3.
Yeah,
no, I was wrong.
The Kazan would be interesting because it's a pretty proficient Twin Drive user as well, but the Rasmus, I feel like, makes a little bit more sense, right? Because you're, again, if you were to pick Kazan here, you're going into a defensively strong goalie like the Mako. Kazan doesn't really have a way to force it through a goalie with a kind of hit stun. Rasmus, on the other hand, does have a pendulum swing, right? If you're setting up yourself correctly, you can use that ability, or you can even hook the goalie away to disrupt their clear. So it gives you a little bit more playmaking utility and more consistency at getting that goal in, because that's what the side of Dragonslayers were struggling with the last time around. They just couldn't get past that last defensive line. So it does make sense to pick up the Rasmus here. I do wonder if another pick also could have been on the board there, but it's no use thinking about that. We're going to be playing with Erasmus, and we're going to see Twisty hopefully putting down another masterclass, this time not on account.
We will see what comes of this final game in this series. Showtime awaits the winner of this next game in the winners finals. Meanwhile, the loser will drop down to the lower bracket, where they'll have the opportunity to climb their way right on back up. We'll see as this one continues who is going to be able to take this. Now, off rip, right, with the Twin Drive Aerials start, I don't actually know who's favored. I expect to see what Snake's going to take the dash range for the Zentaro, right? Don't even have to think about that for the rest of the draft. Kaidoob certainly on the Twin Drive, and I don't know, likely Gumi too, although the Aerials buff, I suppose, for the extra dash speed is going to help. It feels like a lot of that is thinking with those early awakenings.
Yeah, and the awakenings that have been opted are actually pretty even. We have 3 Aerials, and those are all on the speed characters, right? Kainu, Gumi, and Kai all getting enhanced movement speed from this Aerials pick, and everyone else opting to just go for more cooldowns, more consistency. Even Snake picking up that Twin Drive over the Aerials, potentially just to be more aggressive, to have more mobility on the Centauro. And also, looking at the game itself, in terms of Dash Awakenings for the Centaur, the Super Surge, and the Explosive Entrance, yes, there are some people that can take that away from you, but it's not going to be the highest focus for Snake to get this kind of dash range here, because why do you need more range if you have two people behind you that just make you faster anyways, right?
Yeah. Very true, and in that case, in that way, positioning is going to be a little bit easier, and that allows you to have a shorter but maybe more effective rush, Oni's Blade, what have you. And oh dear, welcome to Gooby walks forward a little bit too far once more. First goal on the board here, though, for Dragonslayers, and they'll feel a little bit decent about that momentum, but I'm really, again, watching Twisty. We've watched her put on playmaking performances in the last 2 games. It's all a matter of whether or not she can do it here now on this Rasmus as well.
Yeah, and I also do want to point out Striker Kai, even though not as a parent, has been consistently finding great Gigas to get the core up front and even take a goal, because in that last point as well, it was a Giga that's coming out from Striker Kai that just wasn't really expected from Gumi there. So also really good proficiency on the 3rd game of Kai for him today. But we are now again on the attack for Dragonslayers. They do find the second barrier, but Demons RAAAAHH answers with a power play as Luke is running up and making himself a menace on this Atlas with a flip. They have to play around them. If they play into him, they're running the risk of getting scored on. Luke using the flip here as well to completely shut down the power play. And Twisty back on the field now, trying to get this goal in, and that's exactly what I was talking about. This pendulum swing can be used so well to just get this core into the net and just force the goal, well executed from the side of Dragonslayers.
Good improvisation off of that down turn, right? You lose one of your characters, you're like, oh no, what's going to happen? But Luke realizes that he actually has a better idea of holding the line at the midfield line rather than stepping back for the goal box, and then keeping the core alive for Twisty to come in, throw out all those abilities. And some players have talked about it. I mean, it's been a while since it's been really talked about, but it's relatively difficult to adjust when you come immediately back online out of that power play, right? When you come off the bench after being KO'd, suddenly it's another player on the pitch, and they have all of their abilities online. Exactly what Twisty does there to capitalize on that opportunity. Snake now has one of his own, is going to be able to find it there, and the mine comes up as well. Luke is going to be able to bail it out to Striker Kai, though. Giga Blast attempts to cut off a pass, and does so, and is at least successful for a moment. Almost 2 energy bursts, though, online for Demons RAAAAHH. Kainu will use his almost immediately, looking to get up to Snake. As the expanse is burned already, the core goes just around the whiplash of Twisty. Here's the pendulum swing. The energy burst comes out as well from Gumi. The barrier does not get found there. Snake, though, on the other side, will find a nice corner play of his own. Get it right through Luke, despite him having the energy burst.
Yeah, that is a first goal for the side of Demons RAAAAHH, but energy still in favor of Dragonslayers. Striker Kai is about 1 bar away from getting a flip for himself. Luke has one as well. Twisty looks rather low in the energy department, but she's going to catch up eventually as well, because the core, again, is just being passed back and forth. Twisty finds a crucial strike bar win, and a nice strike shot from Luke actually sets them up to take the second barrier, immediately answered from the side of Demons RAAAAHH, though. As Snake now has a flip as well, maybe wants to try to use it. Striker Kai using his flip first, though, as now Demons RAAAAHH in an attack. A nice expanse from Luke will shut down that flip from Snake, as now Twisty could potentially look for a KO on the Zentaro here.
Energy burst from Luke will prevent Snake from scoring. Now Twisty in pursuit of the goal. Striker Kai in the blazing pace, looking to just try to shove it through the corner, and it eventually will find Twisty for the goal. Dragonslayers take the first set in this 3rd game. Critical here potentially for some of these awakenings to start coming online. Pick the litter here, and Fight or Flight is in the awakening.
Fight or Flight definitely has to be picked up for Striker Kai here. It's such a strong awakening for Kai, and again, it's an awakening that you're not giving to Kainoob. Now, Kainoob still has Among Titans, still gonna get speed for this now pick, but more crucially is also losing size for it. Talking about size, Rasmus really enjoys himself a little bit of size. All these abilities are getting so much stronger if he does have it, and Twisty was able to pick up a Might of the Colossus for herself here, as Sparks find her way to Snake. primetime rapid fire, just consistent and solid awakenings for both Luke and Gumi here, as I feel like everyone's walking away with something that they like, but Dragonslayers, I feel like overall more satisfied with how this draft went.
We'll see whether or not they can capitalize off of that. But the other thing that I actually want to reflect on for a moment is the Mako, I feel like in this particular case, right, has access to the strike shot, has access to the aerials, and doesn't even need to worry about a lot of anything else, right? You're able to have that much extra projectile range. Comes through here, and Gumi attempts to help out on the offensive side as well as he can. And the last draft, of course, with the rapid fire, continued harassment with that perfect pitch will be something to look out for. But the primaries on the other side are going to team up to get the job done. The pendulum swing comes out, and it'll be enough for the stun, but that barrage has so much extra distance.
Yeah, Striker Kai and Twisty are just doing such a good job, and they're being so clinical about it as well by shutting down both clear angles from Gumi. Usually, one of them is attacking from one angle with a pendulum swing or the barrage, and the other one's using their abilities respectively to just completely shut down the clear angle. And for Gumi, then it's almost impossible to clear. So they're doing a really good job at utilizing this range and this force as well to get these barriers and get these goals. But Demons RAAAAHH is back in a power play position and will find the second barrier here as well. Are they going to be able to find the goal off of it though, as Striker Kai still holding on to dear life?
Will be able to hold on for now in pursuit to the goal on the other side of the pitch. The drum and bass will come out as Gumi will send the core away. Now Striker Kai gonna get KO'd. If the perfect pitch comes through, the ensnare drums from downtown will take out Luke, and Demons RAAAAHH will equalize the set.
Well executed. I almost thought Luke had that with a miracle down clear followed up by the primary, but Gumi with that Mako ultimate was right there to punish it just in time. Demons RAAAAHH even out the set.
We'll see where the rest of this one ends up going. Twisty is waiting at the midfield line in that speed gate. Something that all of the forwards are going to jockey for position around the midfield line. Even more important in a Mag Souls meta above all else. Now one barrier is going to get taken here. Kainu looking for Snake, but an expanse comes out. Snake is rather low and will be forced to retreat to pick up the barrier. Now Striker Kai actually will elect to hold on to his energy. So close to the burst here. Has to be careful not to get KO'd, as Snake potentially could be looking for that right close to the edge. Almost finds it there, but Striker Kai will escape. Energy burst comes out, and now he'll finally get punished for it. KO comes through. 2 energy bursts to the name here. They're burned, but both at the same time, and it doesn't matter to Snake, who will take the barrier all the same. Potential opportunity here. Kainu finds Snake. Luke's expanse is going to send it at a weird angle, and Gumi will get credited with the goal. Everything got out of hand there real quick.
An unfortunate miscommunication there from the side of Dragonslayers, using both of their flips and not getting the value out of it. It's going to put them at a disadvantage now, as all of them are low on energy, and Gumi, meanwhile, has a full flip available. Demons RAAAAHH doing a good job at just making sure that the midfield control is within their hands. And on the side of Dragonslayers, it is a bit difficult as well, because as of right now, there's not a lot of KO threads currently due to the awakenings. But if Demons RAAAAHH find sets, find awakenings that can enable them to get KOs, it's going to be so difficult to stay alive, even with an Atlas. As Snake, with a beautiful flip, will secure the set, even if the flip failed. Gumi was right there as well to confirm it. So Demons RAAAAHH winning the second set.
Momentum built up there real quick for Demons RAAAAHH in that last set, and now looking to take that here into this next one. Snake will find his second spark, Rezill, and agility, meaning that he's probably not going to end up dying anytime soon, and with even more speed, both provided by his Mako and his Now, this guy is going to be all over the pitch.
And more crucially, just more speed across the board being picked up as well. Though peak performance for Striker Kai help a little bit the survivability, gives him a bit more speed. Twisty being able to pick up another size awakening, really good for her as well. And Kainu being able to almost even out this advantage from Among Titans with that big fish pickup. So even draft again, I feel like, as we're now going into this third set.
We'll see how this continues to pan out. Of course, the extra projectile range on Luke with the Siege Machine could prove to be useful, but first the core's got to get away from the goal box in order for it to be useful, and Demons RAAAAHH right now are doing an excellent job of keeping the pressure online. They did all of last set. They'll be looking to do the same in this one. Breakaway goals are just that much more difficult to execute on the Rasmus here, given everything that's happened and given just how much speed the members of Demons RAAAAHH have. Snake in position again, looks for the barrier, but it's sent away with an expanse. All three members of Demons RAAAAHH are about to have their energy burst, so expect to see a play coming out here in a moment, although Twisty tries pulling it back in. Has the whiplash, but he'll get trapped in the ensnare drums. Snake has the burst, will send it around to that bottom corner. Doesn't really have another play to follow up with it as a result. Here's Kainoob now crossing up Luke. Striker Kai is in position here as well, and the expanse is going to come out. Gumi's energy burst is just a little bit late. Snake is trying to dive back in position. Luke will send himself the core right off of that bounce, but it looks like the core will escape. Twisty now has an energy burst of her own. Striker Kai, there's one. Looks for the shot himself, but can't find it. The pass to Twisty is just not there as it's covered by the members of Demons RAAAAHH. The expanse is so tiny as it's used by Luke, and now he gets KO'd thanks to the Now Mine, but it doesn't matter. Twisty finds the shot to the top corner.
So much happening at the end of that point there. I first noticed that Luke was taken off the map, and so I paid attention to that side of the field, and suddenly the core is in. Just a lot of chaos being played out there, but the side of Dragonslayers do control it excellently, as they will take this point lead in this current set. On the other hand, though, Demons RAAAAHH has an energy advantage. Snake almost being on that flip again. Can use that to secure a barrier when he does have it, but it still needs to work for it, as the strikes are being found. Twisty runs up, tries to get the barrier, but Gumi clears it pretty well.
One barrier apiece on both sides of the pitch. Perfect pitch just comes up a little bit shy of guaranteeing that barrier, and Snake will burn his own energy burst in a play that doesn't materialize. There's the AI rush. Twisty now taken down incredibly low, and he'll get KO'd by Kainoob's energy burst. There's that ensnare drums come out again, harassing Luke, and will allow the barrier to fall quite easily, although Gumi walks up a little bit too far forward again and gets punished for it. Another barrier down. Twisty back online, gets interrupted by Kainoob's mine. Beautiful thinking from him, and now they're in pursuit to the goal on the other side. Although, as I say that, it goes back and forth between Kainoob and Gumi now. Twisty, pendulum swing, looking for the dribble, can't find it. Oni's blade now in the corner, going to get stopped by the expanse. The core goes flying back to the other side of the pitch, but Gumi still doesn't have to burn his energy burst. Striker Kai back on the goal line. He's going to be able to assist Luke for the play, and the death touch just doesn't pull it back far enough for Twisty to get the Dragonslayers out of this pickle. Luke is still there. Finally, maybe Striker Kai. Nope, doesn't have enough distance because the speed of Demons RAAAAHH is just too much to surmount right now. They don't have any options in order to get this core back to the other side of the pitch. And it's still Demons RAAAAHH that is finding opportunities, keeping the pressure alive on Luke one way or another. Barrage comes out, maybe finally an opportunity, but no, the ensnare drums come out one more time, trapping Twisty for a moment. Snake will find an Oni's blade that'll send the core at a weird angle, and now it's Twisty's turn once more, takes the shot, doesn't find it. Striker Kai, low on stagger, has to be very careful. Here's Kainoob, looks for the pass down to Snake, but he wasn't ready for it with the core going as fast as it is right now. Still looking for a corner play, can't find it. It's back now to Luke. Kainoob looking potentially for the shot here, but Twisty will interrupt once more. And here's the whiplash out of Twisty, just a little bit too shy. Still doesn't have the speed on this Rasmus to follow, and certainly not to match for Demons RAAAAHH. And oh no, the core goes just by Luke. Snake gets credited with the goal, and it's 1 goal apiece, all tied up.
Those are the goals that are just always so painful when he gets scored on, because Luke ended up being a little bit too greedy with the abilities there, thinking that it's gonna be enough to be just striking out, but he wasn't able to reach it in the end. And dropping a goal like that in such an intense set is gonna be difficult to be dealing with. As again, though, Dragonslayers are setting themselves up for another attack. They took one barrier, but the second one is the difficult one to get as they're mounting the attack. But it gets answered by Kainoob again on this now, just being so disruptive in this midfield, not letting any core go past. Doing such a good job piloting this midfield character right now.
Here's the other thing for the Dragonslayers is you really have to make sure that your mental is on point. This is going to continue being one of the longer games versus one of the best teams in competitive North American Omega Strikers. You have to be able to hold the line, especially if you're Luke. Don't let that last one get to you, because it's all a mental game from here. They have to believe that they can do it, and Twisty does, pulling it right back in with the death touch before the energy burst up to the top side. It's almost a set advantage for the Dragonslayers.
Almost a set advantage, but 3 flips on the side of Demons RAAAAHH is going to make that much bit more difficult to actually realize. As the first barrier does get found by Twisty, second one they're trying to make use of the Sky Brush, but just can't quite find the angle. But Demons RAAAAHH is being pushed back into their side of the field. A nice expanse from Luke will actually hold that core and immediately set up Striker Kai as well, as the Zentaro dies off the edge. That is the funny Zentaro interaction that we know and love as power play comes out for the side of Dragonslayers here. Can they find this second barrier? They need to find it soon, because Snake is now back on the field. Kainoob has a flip, Gumi has a flip. So does Striker Kai, though. Maybe wants to walk up and uses it to get it up front, but Demons RAAAAHH using both of their flips, not able to hold on to the barrier there, as it does drop Twisty, and Striker Kai now up front, trying to get this goal in. But Kainoob and Snake doing such a good job at layering strikes, Gumi doesn't even have to get involved just yet.
Oh, a misplay there, but Demons RAAAAHH find their way to get it back to the other side of the pitch. Now Snake still will find the barrier, and this is just so much speed. Again, you watch Kainoob, and soon he'll just drop a mine and go back to the other side of the pitch, but it doesn't matter. Twisty finds a way to pull it back in, and they are one set away from knocking off Demons RAAAAHH.
And what a beautiful hook that was. Saw the angle between Kainoob and Gumi there and just plucked that core out to just get that goal in. And they're rewarded with another set win. 2 Spark Awakenings in this draft now. Probably both have to be denied to not give Zentaro triple sparks, but first things first, stacks and stacks for Striker Kai. Gonna give much needed speed. Perfect form being an excellent pickup though for the side of Kainoob as well, as now both sparks do drop, not giving Snake that triple spark. But hey, Snake will instead just take an explosive entrance with Twin Drive. Still very, very good pickup for him. As we now go into this 4th set, and Dragonslayers, if you can find this set, you will have taken out Demons RAAAAHH from the winner's side of bracket. Let's see if you can do it.
Spans on the wrong side of history that time around, but yeah, I mean, do what you will to try to deny Snake, right, with both of those sparks, but to your point, just picks up that dash awakening that's oh so good on the Zentaro. As per usual, Demons RAAAAHH will continue to harass, will find both barriers. The Whiplash doesn't quite find the core. Now Twisty will find one barrier, get some of those cooldowns right back up. You're looking for another one here, but Snake will continue to harass. There's a lifeline coming in from Kainoob. Expect to see that secondary drop now, and there it is. The speed is just too much, and a quick little passing play will net the goal for Demons RAAAAHH.
They do take the goal, and they hold on to basically all of their energy as well. Snake and Kainoob now have a flip to their name. Will probably try to use those flips to get the second barrier, because that is so difficult to take off of an Atlas defense, as a flip comes out from Snake but doesn't quite find its target. Well defended from Luke, as now Striker Kai tries to get an attack going, doesn't get it past Kainoob though, as Kainoob answers with a flip of their own. Barrier does now drop. Gumi walks up with flip as well, and the court doesn't go in. An excellent save from the side of Dragonslayers.
Striker Kai digs it away, and now Gumi doesn't find it against that barrier. Open goal gates on both sides. Snake tries to dive in, but the expanse is there. Doesn't matter because the core goes back to the other side of the pitch. Snake, though, can just drop right on back with all the extra speed that he's gained so far in this set. And now the Giga Blast comes out, challenges the goal, but Gumi's ready for it. Doesn't need to burn the energy burst just yet. Oni's blade is out. Kainoob is starting to be in position here as well. And here comes Snake. No, it does have the energy burst here, but Luke will use his first. Snake burns his. Doesn't have access to that for now. I imagine the death touch is quickly coming back online for Twisty. We'll have to see how she elects to use it. The Expanse meets the eye rush again. And there is the Giga Blast that'll go just wide. Energy Burst also burned on the other side of the pitch as the nerves continue to be high and the core speed continues to escalate. Gumi now back down to Kainu. Twisty is there, as is Striker Kai, up to the top corner, but Kainu's got the speed to catch up to the core, and now we'll just continue striking it away. There's the KO, though, that the Dragonslayers were looking for. They take down Snake, and Striker Kai might be looking for the pass, but it ricochets in an awful angle. As it continues, Twisty finds another KO. Gumi has the energy burst to try to buy some time as the power play continues. Striker Kai looking for the Rasmus, but just can't find it. It's just out of reach. All they needed is another goal, but they can't find it yet as all three members of Demons RAAAAHH are back online, and here comes the extra speed out of Kainu. Can't find it yet. Barrage is out. Twisty's death touch was also used, and the Expanse from Luke saves the core again. There's the Now Mine. The Expanse burns in panic. Twisty looking towards Striker Kai, but they just cannot find a full play together thanks to all of the extra speed that Demons RAAAAHH has access to. The Ensnare Drums trap the core for a moment. The Expanse is burned again, punishing Snake, or preventing that core from going in, rather, I should say. The Giga Blast will interrupt any play and the momentum for a moment as the nerves continue here at this point. Odie's blade is out. Luke patiently waits with the energy burst and finds it. Here's the energy burst from Kainu. There's the play. The rush is there, and the Expanse isn't used in time. Demons RAAAAHH can send us to set 5.
And Dragonslayers just doing such a good job trying to keep attacking, but they can't find the way past Demons RAAAHH's defense in the end, as now Demons RAAAAHH are one away from setting us to a set 5 here. Kind of has a flip available as well if he does opt to use it. We'll probably try to get up front here, get it out, and get that value to secure this open goal situation. Gumi has a flip on the defensive end if he needs to use it, so Dragonslayers have a tough challenge ahead of them if they do want to try to finish this game off in the set. A Snake with a beautiful dash will actually take the barrier. Kind of Gumi still both have flip. Might want to use that to secure the goal because Luke's doing a good job as well, making use of these Atlas abilities early enough. But Twisty with an even better attack will take one barrier, gets a second barrier, and a pendulum swing will just confirm the goal.
Will confirm the goal, and we're heading to a set 5. We'll see what Awakenings... Or not yet, actually. Sorry. I lost track of my teams. All right, whatever. All good, folks. That's what happens. As the players make mistakes, the casters can make mistakes too. Death touch out here. There's the Ensnare Drums. Come through. This time Striker Kai will use the elusive to stand away. Gumi is there. Now finds both barriers. Hold on to your hats for a second here, because we could be heading to a 0.5 in set 4. There's the energy burst out of Luke, sends it away, buys some time. Striker Kai coming in on the blazing pace, and Gumi was too busy harassing Twisty and keeping her away that the core just falls in. He assumed Kainu had it, and now it is match point for the Dragonslayers.
The death touch from Twisty doing so much work, they're pulling Gumi away, actually not even allowing him to defend that point. As Dragonslayers found a second win here in this set and are trying to make this game finish right here, trying to finish it off as quickly as they can. As Demons RAAAAHH now have 3 flips available, find a barrier, find the second barrier. Snake being so clinical with the strikes, they're kind of now walking up with the flip, gets denied by the Atlas primary though. Not really able to get the attack going just yet. One flip coming out, the Expanse coming out from Luke. But a quick and clean hold will actually make that ability go to waste as Demons RAAAAHH again keep on the attack, but we've seen it so often already. Demons RAAAAHH attacking, but the side of Dragonslayers find a KO just like that to get the power play into the other direction.
Looking for the passing play again. Twisty will find one with the pendulum swing. Looks for the death touch to pull it right back, but won't maintain possession. It's back on over to this side of Demons RAAAAHH, almost bullied off of the pitch. Snake, though, looks for the eye rush to send it back the other way and burns the Expanse out of Luke again. There's the second Expanse. Now all he has is the energy burst, but it doesn't matter. Snake will punish in the top corner, and we're heading to a final set.
So such a tight angle from Snake to be found, but an important angle to be found as we're now going into this last Awakening draft. And we do have some high-value Awakenings here. The Monumentalist and the Heavy Impact both going to do so much work for this now. Monumentalist being picked up. Wonder if the Heavy's going to go down to Kai, to Zentaro, and it will, as Dagger Swagger will actually be found on the Kai. And never mind Catalyst. It makes sense. Again, so many more flips available to the Zentaro character as the Heavy Impact that's picked up the Atlas to make sure Mako doesn't get it. The size being denied off of Twisty. So Twisty's really only left with the Adrenaline Rush. Will have to do with that 1 second cooldown reduction.
I will say, though, Twisty's got some significant power already. Might of the Colossus, Demolitionist, Spark of Strength gives a little bit of extra, and then if you find the KO, this one could quickly snowball out of control. I have to imagine that is what the Dragonslayers game plan should be right now. Find a pick, find a KO that Twisty can pull somebody away, and just use the extra speed that's given to you there to capitalize on the lead, but that's going to be so much more difficult with Kainoob's Monumentalist. This now is still so strong, and especially right now when it gives so much extra speed to Snake, it's going to be that much easier for Snake to find that speed and capitalize off of it. Here is the energy burst that comes out of Luke, sends the core back the other direction. Look at Snake fly! He didn't even need a dash for that one! Finds the goal barrier, can't collect with the Oni's blade. Here's the energy burst again out of Snake, gets knocked away and won't be able to find towards the goal. Overtime now. Twisty might be looking for something, but again, Kainoob is there, has so many different hitboxes that just get thrown out in an instant, and it feels like such a tall mountain to climb right now, Sloth, for the Dragonslayers.
Yeah, and it gets so much more difficult as well with Kainoob being able to hold this midfield with the Monumentalist so much more efficiently. And on top of that, Luke's job isn't made easier because Snake, I don't know if you've noticed, but in his positioning, he's disallowing Luke from really getting anything out of his Atlas expanses. Just being on top of him in that last play as well, just put the range down to minimum, but the side of Dragonslayers are not done yet. Find a KO on Kainoob. Find both barriers as Twisty now in a 1v1 will not be able to get it past Gumi just yet. Snake has to use the flip to hold on to this point now. As Striker Kai is getting rather low, has a flip soon as well, probably wants to use it to get the core up front, but really swiftly denied from the side of Kainoob now, as Demons RAAAAHHH will try to set an attack going again.
Immediately stuffed there. Luke does have an energy burst, could be looking for a breakaway play again, but it doesn't matter. The Pendulum Swing has a big enough hitbox, and we're tied at 1 goal apiece in the final set.
The stakes that this matchup has is already so high, I feel like, because you're going up against whoever wins this goes up against Showtime next. And then, oh no, the Zentaro gets taken off the map! Power play for the side!
The Giga Blast was just shy, but it doesn't matter when you have one less player. The Dragonslayers could knock off Demons RAAAAHHH right here, right now. Only 1 goal away. Strike shots traded on the opening. Every moment has to drive you absurd. Striker Kai finds 1 strike to the barrier. The expanse is used out of Luke first. Oni's blade, there's the second expanse. Doesn't have many resources now if Demons RAAAAHHH can try to punish. But Striker Kai comes in on the blazing pace. There's the EI rush from Snake to pick things up, but 3 energy bursts are online for Demons RAAAAHHH. They take the southern barrier and will now be looking for more. Snake is still in position, still has a bunch of extra speed given by both of his teammates. Giga Blast is out. Kainoob and Gumi still both have their energy bursts, and Gumi will burn his. Twisty can't get the job done this time around, and there's the one out of Kainoob, though. But Twisty has her own. It's denied immediately by that now secondary. Recently buffed with the Monumentalist in the last Awakenings draft. Snake, here's his energy burst, but he'll have it right back online in a jiffy, given that Catalyst Awakening that he's just taken. Overtime now. Twisty and Striker Kai incredibly low. Striker Kai picks up with the barrage. Looking for something more here. The Atlas ult was also used in order to provide that little bit of extra healing because they need it now. But Gumi is just standing tall on top of this final barrier. Now Mine will send it away. Striker Kai still has an opportunity to get this one up to Twisty. There's the Whiplash. Another energy burst out of Snake. Doesn't connect with the core. And still once more, these members of the Dragonslayers are incredibly low. There's the barrier taken. Striker Kai has to back on away here and try to protect this goal, especially in overtime. Luke with the energy burst here as well. There's the projection. Gumi comes up just a little bit shy, and now the winning goal is open. Will there be an opportunity for another breakaway play that Twisty will be looking for? Energy burst will come from Kainoob. Send it to the other side of the pitch and send us to a decisive point.
Luke not having that flip timed quite well there as the core does go in, and now the energy advantage solely in the hands of Demons RAAAAHH as one comes up from Snake. Doesn't find the barrier yet though. And the side of Dragonslayers, they're suffocating Demons RAAAAHH as much as they can, but it has its limits. Eventually it goes out, and the barrier now does drop as well on the side of Dragonslayers.
Uh-oh. Its snare drum is there. There's the barrier. Game-winning goal for the other side of the pitch. Double energy burst burned. Twisty's in position to prevent the pass down to Kainoob. There's one barrier taken. Snake maybe on the breakaway, but the Expanse comes up to deny just that. Snake sends it backwards. Now goes in front of the core with the eye rush. Tries to find a way to get it in, but gets KO'd to the Giga Blast of Striker Kai. Twisty also gets in on that and has the extra speed with the adrenaline rush. Finds the pendulum swing. Here's the energy burst. Won't send it through just yet. Is patiently waiting for the cooldowns to come back online. And call yourselves the Demonslayers now. Dragonslayers 2 are on to winners finals in SHEB.
What a performance and what a game as well. So well executed. Twisty in the end making a use of that Rasmus pick to just force the core through. Gumi, not much he can do there. And again, that patience on that flip, realizing that they have a better chance, waiting a little bit longer to get their cooldowns back to push it through, as this was an absolute banger of a game. Just look at those stats.
81,000 damage out of Snake. Are you kidding me? And I think, what, KOs? Actually, Dragonslayers have more KOs despite the 81,000 damage from Snake. You've got to be kidding me right now. I don't have words. I don't have words. I don't have words. Put the hands up. Absolute cinema. Yeah. Wow. I just need to breathe right now, Sloth. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what more there is to say. I think the game speaks for itself.
Yeah. I mean, and the players definitely will have to have a breather as well. Like, lowest amount of redirects this game, 274. Highest amount of redirects, kind of with over 500. This is a game that you get up from and you just have to go for a walk for a bit. You know, you have to calm down. I don't even want to know where the heart rates are for all of the players involved here, and especially for the side of Dragonslayers as they found this crucial win for themselves.
How about that? So they've now proven that they can contend with the best that the North American Strikers League has to offer, but will they be able to contend that the best the league has to offer? Dragonslayers 2 are up against Showtime in the winners finals of SHEB right when we come back after this break. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back with that next match.